Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics. And during PMQs yesterday, Keir Starmer was talking about improvements to the NHS and mentioned that 2 hospitals in Kemi Badenoch's constituency were getting new scanners. Badenoch, the woman who claims she very carefully considers everything she says and never comes up with gaffes, rose up, a smile on her face. I've got him this time, she thought. Then she replied, you may know something I don't, but there's only one hospital in my constituency. However, as much as I have complete faith in Kemi Badenoch's grasp of details, I decided to have a little check. Ooh, it turns out there are definitely at least 2 hospitals in her constituency, plus some community clinics which might well be described as small hospitals. Did she forget which constituency she serves? But first, for daily news and politics, please hit the subscribe button to stay notified. So it doesn't look like Kemi Badenoch is getting any better at this. She insisted she was. I'm not seeing it. I suppose she was always going to struggle on a day when Labour were announcing spending plans, which are popular, rather than cuts, which are not. She tried her best to turn attention to the cuts, as you'd expect. Didn't really manage to hit home. Drawing attention to the winter fuel cuts is not a complete dead end, but it's way less effective now that Labour have reversed the policy for almost everyone. But her choice of questions aside, which were actually fine in their own way, even though attacking Labour about the economy inevitably results in responses which point out the shocking state of the economy left by them in government, but there's not a lot of any Conservative leader can do that, really. But the unforced errors kept coming.
And we're going further, including through state-of-the-art radiotherapy machines rolled out across the country, Mr. Speaker. There's one going into his constituency, more scanners going to 27 other hospital trusts, including 2 hospitals in the constituency of the Leader of the Opposition. All made possible by the decisions that we've made, and I know she'll want to stand up and welcome that.
Leader of the Opposition, Kemi Badenoch.
Mr. Speaker, perhaps the Prime Minister knows something I don't know. There's only 1 hospital in my constituency.
So chuckling away because she thought she'd done it this time. Got him. He thinks he's on top of his brief. I'll show him. He slipped up there, you know. However, I'm wondering if she has forgotten that her constituency boundaries changed. She used to be the MP for Saffron Walden, but it's now North West Essex. Maybe she still thinks she's in her old constituency, and maybe at the time it only had 1 hospital and the boundary changes put another one there. Or maybe she just doesn't have a clue about the services in her own home area. Or maybe she just doesn't know what a hospital is. You know, I had a look. I actually thought at first there might be 3, but there's definitely 2. There's the Saffron Walden Community Hospital and there's Broomfield Hospital for starters. Get the postcode. That's in Kemi Badenoch's constituency. Let's see if we can find another hospital that's in her constituency. Broomfield Hospital. Go away. Postcode. Oh, look! That's in Kemi Badenoch's constituency as well. That's like 2 hospitals. That's 100% more hospitals than she thinks is in her constituency. There are also a couple of community clinics which seem to offer enough services to potentially need scanners, but hospital's not in the title. And if you're going to say, well, that's not really a hospital, that's fine. Plus, of course, her constituents are served by numerous other hospitals in neighbouring constituencies, though, again, I would accept that those wouldn't be in her constituency. However, surely nobody can argue that a medical centre with the word hospital in its name is not a hospital. So no matter how you define it, there are certainly at least 2 hospitals in Badenoch's constituency. As I say, maybe 1 entered as a result of the boundary changes and she didn't notice. It is, of course, possible that Badenoch got away with this one. The media are rarely interested in humiliating a Tory leader and probably less inclined to do so now. I think even those who aren't part of the Tory client media probably feel sorry for her at this point. But despite her insistence that she was getting better every week, I'm not seeing it. Yes, I'm partisan. I'm biased. Correct. But I tried to be fair. I thought her questions were mostly decent, but they worked better for Reform UK than they did the Conservatives. The problem with her attacks on Labour is that Starmer sent them back with interest. Whatever economic metric Badenoch tries to attack and go, oh, this is rubbish, it's been way worse under the Conservatives. I remember getting a very sarky comment from a chemistry teacher on a mock exam once. It was beautiful. I loved it. He said, "This is a superb answer to a completely different question." And I felt Badenoch's performance yesterday was a case of good questions for a completely different party. But of course, the questions are teamwork. She doesn't come up with them herself. She decides which ones to go with, but she doesn't actually come up with them. Badenoch's performance is not the questions because they're prearranged. It's the way she adapts them to what Starmer is saying, the way she thinks on her feet, and ad-libbing by claiming to have only one hospital in your constituency when there are definitely at least two was not a sign of a leader getting better every week, growing into the role after over half a year. And the attack on the Chagos Islands deal was just ridiculous. It allowed Starmer to blast her at the same time as lumping the Conservatives into the same pot as the likes of Russia and Iran in what was easily his best response of the exchange, I felt.
Mr. Speaker, Diego Garcia is a vital intelligence and strategic capability. And it's absolutely clear that legal uncertainty would compromise it in very short order. That is why they started the negotiations in relation to it. And no responsible Prime Minister would let that happen. We've secured the base for the long time. That has been welcomed by our allies, by the US, by NATO, by Australia, New Zealand, India. It's been opposed by our adversaries, Russia, China and Iran. And in the second column, we add reform, following Putin, and the Tories following reform.
I mean, who was it supposed to appeal to? It's like she's trying to win the Red Wall voters back when they're in a tussle between Labour and Reform UK and completely ignoring the voters in more traditionally Conservative areas, which opens the way for the Lib Dems to target way more of their seats next time. If she had any sense at all, she would use the donations they've been getting recently to pay for some data scientists and spend the summer recess at a boot camp for politics, educate herself on who are her target voters, what would persuade them to turn back to her party in the next few years. Then relaunch her pitch in September. If not, then she may not be troubled the second confidence votes are allowed in November, because it's not like there are obvious better replacements. But she will not be building a platform for a good local election campaign next year. Remember, it's also elections in Scotland and Wales. And if the Conservatives do badly next May, I mean, it'll surely be curtains for her then. Either her or the Conservatives anyway. But let me know what you think in the comments below. And for more content, you could subscribe to the channel or even become a member for access to streams and behind the scenes updates. Thanks for watching. And until next time, I'll see you later.